Their first days together unfolded like a dream neither of them wanted to wake from. Every simple act carried with it a weight of meaning they had been denied for so long. Walking hand in hand down the street, sharing meals at the same table, hearing each other's laughter without the lag of a call, it all felt extraordinary, even though to others it was just the rhythm of daily life. For them, it was the miracle of love finally freed from distance. The mornings were the most special. She would wake to find him still half asleep, his hand resting gently on hers as though even in dreams he was afraid to let her go. Sometimes, she would lie still just to memorize the peaceful rise and fall of his chest, marveling at how real he finally was beside her. And when he opened his eyes and caught her staring, he would smile in that sleepy way that melted every piece of her, whispering softly, "Good morning, my love. Do you know how many mornings I've prayed for this?" The little routines they built became sacred. Cooking together in the kitchen, laughing when he tried to follow her recipe, but accidentally added too much spice, walking under the evening sky, his arm around her shoulders while she leaned her head against him, even sitting in silence, lost in their own thoughts, but comforted by the nearness of each other. These moments, small as they were, felt like healing to the wounds of distance that had carved so deeply into their hearts. But along with the joy came quiet realizations. Love in its purest form wasn't just in the grand reunion or the passionate embraces. It was also in the patience of adjusting to each other's habits, the compromise of blending two lives that had been separate for so long. She noticed he sometimes retreated into thought, burdened by the fear of time slipping too quickly, while he saw how she tried to hide her tears at night, worried about the days when he might have to leave again. Yet, instead of breaking them, these fears drew them closer. Each conversation about the future was filled with both vulnerability and determination. He promised her that this reunion wasn't temporary, that every step he took now was toward a life where they wouldn't have to count days apart anymore. She in turn reminded him that their love was strong enough to face any storm, because it had already survived what so many others could not: years of longing, distance, and the silence of separation. Every evening, before closing their eyes, they would sit together by the window, watching the stars. It became their ritual, a reminder of the countless nights they had once spent staring at the same sky from different corners of the world. But now, under that same blanket of stars, they were side by side. And each night, he would hold her hand and whisper, "Forever starts here." Their first days together were not just about rediscovering each other, they were about reclaiming all the moments stolen by distance and rewriting them with presence, touch, and closeness. Every heartbeat reminded them of one truth: love had finally won, and it was only the beginning. The days turned into weeks, and with every sunrise their bond deepened into something more than just love. It became a sanctuary, a place where both of them felt safe, cherished, and seen. Life together was not simply about grand gestures or dramatic confessions, but about the quiet weaving of two souls into one rhythm. Every shared cup of tea, every late-night conversation, every walk through the city streets carved their presence into each other's lives like an unshakable truth. She began to notice the way he always reached for her hand when they crossed the street, as though instinct demanded he protect her from the smallest dangers. He began to treasure the way she hummed softly while cooking, filling the room with a melody more comforting than any song he had ever known. These were not just habits, they were pieces of a life slowly stitching itself together, thread by thread, moment by moment. Even the silences between them were sacred. There were evenings when they spoke little, sitting side by side, her head resting against his chest, his fingers absent-mindedly tracing patterns on her arm. In that quiet, the world outside faded, and all that remained was the sound of his heartbeat and the warmth of her breath. They realized then that love did not always need words. Sometimes it spoke in the language of touch, presence, and stillness. Those silent moments were perhaps the loudest declarations of their devotion, for they revealed a comfort so profound that neither needed to fill the air with anything more. Yet love, when real, also carried with it an awareness of fragility. There were nights when she would wake suddenly, her heart itching with the memory of all the years they had been forced apart, and the fear that life might still conspire to separate them again. He would sense her unrest, even in sleep, and draw her closer, whispering again,